Romans 1. Let's run the list. Title drop.
Rainbow, unrighteous, evil, envy, murder, covetousness, malice, haters of God in the mirror, insolent, haughty, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient to parents,
Foolish, faithless, ruthless.
rainbow, right, same spirit, brand new flag. From the clinic to the classroom, history's coming back.
Whoa, unrighteous. Rewrite the chromosomes. State says mom is hate speech. Dad's a social construct.
Evil.
Scalpels on 8-year-olds, call it care. Murder, abortion clinics, rebranded gender affirming. Covetousness, steal childhood for adult validation.
Malice.
Cancel parents who dare ask a question.
Envy.
Pronoun hierarchy, one of oppression. Strife, safe space, civil war, trigger word aggression. Deceit, puberty assigned biologies amid slander. Turf is the new witch. Forum on the gram. Haters of God, drag queens in the library pew.
Reading gender grid.
You kids, Romans 1 in plain view. Insolent pride, corporate worship, June is a new Lent. Hardy science, dogma, dissonance, violence. Test binders on the runway, scars are the flex. Disobedient, state seizes custody. Trans KOA reflex.
Rainbow right, unrighteous, evil, envy, murder, covetousness, malice, haters of God in the mirror, insolent, hardy, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient to parents,
Foolish, faithless, ruthless.
rainbow right, same spirit, brand new flag. From the clinic to the classroom, history's coming back.
Inventors of evil, top surgery, TikTok, Jeff Bezos.
Heartless.
Block puberty, then profit off the funerals.
Gossips.
Dox the moms who won't clap for the lie. Slanderers smear the whistleblowers, watch their careers die.
Foolish.
Chest beaters with beards, call it inclusive.
Faithless.
Rainbow Eucharist, mock the blood that saves us.
Ruthless.
Laws at jail, prayer outside the clinic gate. While Planned Parenthood sells care in every state. They strain it, misgendering, swallow the camel of mutilation. White-coated priest in a new castration station. The flag 6 colors, but the spirit's pitch black.
Every letter an acronym, another step off the track.
Jesus warned the Pharisees, now he warns the surgeons. Your rainbow altars would a stubble. Watch it burn in the furnace.
You call it love is love, he calls it exchange the truth. Romans 1:25, worship the creature, not the brute. Glitch the kids, clip the wings, clip the conscience too. But the wrath is revealed. Rainbow right, this one's for you. Rainbow right, unrighteous, evil, envy, murder, covetousness, malice, haters of God in the mirror, insolent, hardy, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient to parents,
Foolish, faithless, ruthless.
rainbow right, same spirit, brand new flag. From the clinic to the classroom, history's coming back. Rainbow right.
Romans 1. Read it slow.
Your empire's glitter, but the judgment's gold. Rainbow right. Repent.
All right. That was Tim Bodnar's latest at Truth Slinger X. So check that out when you get a chance. He's been pumping out 2 or 3 songs a day lately with political and cultural, social, religious themes to them, right here in good old Maine, in the wilderness up in central Maine. So thanks to Tim Bodnar for letting me run that song. Pretty good. Rainbow Reich. So go to at Truth Slinger X and share it with all your friends and family. So my guest has arrived in the stage, so we'll bring him in here. All right, Matt, can you hear me, man? I know you're supposed to.
I can't. I'm on the wrong camera for some reason. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can see you. You're fine. You got that pretty bookshelf in the background there. It looks good.
Yeah, there's it's this one here, so we're live. How you doing, everybody? Sorry I'm late. I was working on trying to figure out how to publish a book, and I got distracted by it. And so
no problem. No problem. It gave me time to play Tim Bodnar's latest. It's entitled Rainbow Reich. So you got to miss
okay.
it. But go to at TruthSlinger X and check it out when you get a chance.
I will. He's he's got the gumption that a lot of people need, and that they're not doing it. They're not worrying about, why isn't everybody incensed? I don't know, but let's go blame the guy that we want to just label as an extremist because we're cowards.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what people do. They just find the guys that, like him or Richard Levi or Nick Blanchard, and they just call them extremists. And they're being called extremists by their own people who should be on their own side.
Yeah, it's not working. So, folks, my name is Mike Keith. I'm talking with Matt Rhodes, who is the leader of, is it Northern New England or New England John Birch Society?
It's all of New England except for Connecticut. And so it's, it's just, it's just one, I don't have Connecticut. I have Vermont, which only has a couple members in it. Well, we know what that is, like it's so. Did that work at all? I'm trying to figure out how to get my camera to go forward, but I'm challenged as a what do you call it? I'm very low tech. Mike's high tech. I'm low tech. And I want everybody to know that I'm fascinated by things like the wheel, fire. I'm very fascinated by things.
You're technically challenged.
I was really happy when I'm technically challenged, and it's like, man, oh man. So it's just one of those things, right? It's so you're gonna have to, guys are gonna have to look at my profile all day.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it works. So, you're still having that issue with it lagging a little bit. I don't know what is causing that, but probably.
Well, I'm gonna have to get my modem. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it might be because you've got too many things. You've got too many things open on your computer, possibly. If you can.
Let me turn off stuff here. Let me go see what I can do here.
It might help if you close down everything except the browser tab where your StreamYard is open. Possibly. Okay. Depends on how old your computer is. It may also be your connection to the internet. But
yeah, I've got a Bluetooth from downstairs, and it needs to be stronger, whatever the router. So I've got like the lowest, whatever, affordable. So I'm going to work on that. I keep forgetting though. So maybe you could throw a rock at me today and make me remember. Okay, I would appreciate that. So
yeah. Whoops, sorry about that. I just hit the wrong button. All right. So yeah, Matt Rhodes is with me. I'm honored to have the leader of the John Birch Society, which is a respected institution that spun up after World War II here in the United States of America as a result of John Birch's courage in China. And it became known in the 50s, 60s, 70s as the sort of go-to group for thinking about communism in America and how toxic and dangerous communism is. And my goodness, Matt, communism is with us in spades. Look at this election on Tuesday. Holy,
it hasn't gone away. Some people say it died, but it's every one of these movements throughout time, leaves its genetic material behind, and it just needs the right petri dish to work in, and New York being the biggest of petri dishes of filth and slime, it just flourishes there, and it will always be. I mean, communism is a form of collectivism, and people will pick up whatever disease. It's a disease that floats around. It's just like. I don't know how to say it other than, people have to know they need to inoculate themselves from this type of thinking. And so far, Americans haven't been really that good at it. That's why the Democrats and the Republicans equally share their own forms of socialism. One is more of a Trotskyite socialism. One is more of a Stalinist. This guy in New York, what the heck is his name? He's a Stalinist.
Yeah.
He's
Mamdani.
Mamdani, yeah. I've been reading about him, but I would have to be honest and say that his name doesn't flow off my lips very well yet, because I'm looking for words like Smith and Williams, as a prejudiced American. So, Americans are kind of like, well, if your name doesn't have the right amount of vowels in it or consonants, we can't say it. Sorry, not going to happen. So,
yes.
And,
well, that's quite a stunning result from the elections on Tuesday. Here in Maine, nothing that I voted for passed. I voted for even though I didn't like every part of it, I voted for the question 1 to try to strengthen the ballot integrity issue. But I mean, it was such a weak and confused question, not just because Bellows, did her thing on it, but because Alex Titcomb filled it full of all kinds of stuff. It was just a very convoluted and complicated proposal.
Well, Alex Titcomb works for the other side. He works for the progressives. I've been telling everybody that his job, he's doing exactly what Alex Titcomb's job is to do. His job is to confuse and muddle the issues of true Americanism. He always has. Yep. He's hijacked Laurel Libby. He's hijacked the Saginaw County Republicans. These people don't even know what it means to be an American. And he's the guy that supports the Citizens Initiative, which makes Maine a direct democracy. I mean, all the way around, Alex Titcomb is not to be trusted, but I can't get anybody to believe that, because Laurel Libby, worships I think at least worships his left leg, but I know she worships the ground that he walks on. So you can't get a guy like that out, because they believe that he knows what he's talking about. I don't know why. He hasn't done anything. Yeah. He hasn't done anything to help Maine elections at all. So,
well, the bigger issue with Titcomb is he somehow, I don't know how exactly he did this, but he managed to gain control over maybe he's the one who founded this dinner table club.
Oh, yeah.
I'm told that it costs $250 to go have a hamburger or whatever at these things, and they have them at in churches. They have them in these little Baptist and Pentecostal and Nazarene and evangelical churches. And what Titcomb and Libby do is they go to these folks, good-hearted folks, and promise the stars and the moon and the sun to them when it comes to politics, if they'll just give their $50 or $100 in addition to their $250 to take them over the top for this latest referendum push that they need to do. And that's the MO for the Alex Titcomb and the dinner table, is they're manipulating, abusing, and using the good hearts of these of the folks who keep these tiny little evangelical church doors open across Maine. I know this is true because I did it myself. I mean, I didn't do what Titcomb's doing, I hope and pray. Because when
he's strip mining the elderly in Maine, that's what he's doing. He's just strip mining the state, turning it into a progressive nightmare. That's his job. He's doing listen, he works for he's aligned with the dinner table, with Convention of States, Term Limits USA. They'll lie flat out to your face. We don't have anything to do with term limits or Convention of States. Okay, then why are there signs displayed proudly at your meetings? So they lie openly right to your face. And we know for a fact that is the Convention of States and Term Limits USA are all part of a very old progressive movement that began back in the 1900s. Literally 1900, with the works of by a man named Frank Goodnow, who wrote Administration and Politics. And so I'm going to be going over that tonight in a presentation on the ConCon via Zoom. And so I sent that to you. Hopefully you can display that. We can get some people involved. Now, can
you see it?
Yep. So I want people to scan this QR code and register right now, and then send this image to all your friends. You're going to discover what the CON is not telling you, and how what they're doing is dangerous, not because necessarily of a runaway convention, but because of the fact that they're not giving you all the information, and it's very dangerous for what it means to the administrative state. So the administrative state is the most dangerous thing. They're not going to talk to you about it. The Republicans in Maine, I've shown them 3,000 times. This is what's actually happened to your government. This is what you need to do to fix it. They don't want to listen to it because you know why? They don't want to give up the money. That's what it really comes down to. They don't want to admit that there is a centralized dependency that they have on the federal government. They don't want state sovereignty. The state legislators, well, many of them follow the Constitution, still sneak around the back door, taking congressionally directed spending, and it's they're by degrees. This is what they do all across the country. By degrees, the progressives control both parties, making sure that nobody ever has any rights, that there's no accountability in government. This is what the progressives do. They use both sides. So anyway, you could watch the pattern. You would wonder at some point. These old guards, like the whatever name is down there, Heidi and Sampson and all these people. At what point are you going to question your ability to do anything for the state of Maine? They stand there as an old guard. They do nothing for the state. The state has been increasingly handed over to the Democrats, and what they've done when they've won is because they've just basically used the same tactics as the Democrats. They basically just try to figure out a way to offer another version of socialism. So anyway, sorry about the rant, but that's just it. You would think at some point they would question themselves and say, hey, we're not really that good at this. Wouldn't you? Like if you were like a carpenter and you just kept missing the nail every time you were building a house, and every time you built a house, it would fall down. You would think that you would just in humility say, you know what, maybe I need to hand this over to some people, but they stand as gatekeepers and they're not going to change that. So anyway.
So let me ask you about this event. Is this an online virtual digital event, or is this in the real world?
It's online, but I want you to register. Give me your information. I don't share your information with anybody else. So yes, it's online.
Okay.
And yeah.
So then, okay, I see here there's a URL, but there's also a QR code. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's tonight, is that right?
That's tonight. Yeah, that's tonight.
Oh, there it is. 7 p.m. 7 p.m. on Zoom. It's a Zoomer. You're Zooming.
Yeah, I'm zooming.
Good for you.
Because I like the Chinese to watch what I'm doing. It's like,
there you go. Well, they need as much help as the Mainers.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. They listen. Maybe in my deluded mind, maybe I think if they listen to me enough, they'll change their opinions about the universe. Who knows, right? So
yeah,
one could hope. I know that our magazine, The New American, has now made it into South America, and is now being bought in Europe. So the awareness. So when you have people like William Jasper writing about what's going on, it's really interesting, Mike. There are people. The word is that there are actually people in Europe that have never heard of some of the issues that we think that should be obvious to them about the globalists. And I mean, as many riots as you see, you think, well, no, that's not possible. But yeah, there are people that are not aware. So you got to get the message out. There is a global hegemon, if that's or oligarch that's basically trying to control you and everything you do, and they want to basically set themselves up in giant houses, big planes, and while you just live eating bugs and whatnot. So that's what they do.
They're losing though, Matt. They're losing. They launched World War III in order to capture control of the internet in 2020 with COVID, and we're 5 years into their offensive, and they're losing. I look at what at what's developing right now since the election, and how shrill and thin and how shrill and thin is the pushback against Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, and Candace Owens. It's so obvious to me. I really feel good about next year with the Republicans here in Maine, because Nick and Candace and Tucker and those who support them are just getting started. They're just getting started. And this narrative from Mark Levin and from even from Trump, this is so old and tired, and especially the younger people, not just in America but around the world, they're looking at the pushback against people like Candace yesterday captured the most watched podcast on earth, not just in America, on earth. Candace Owens.
Yeah, I mean,
love it.
And it's so great that this is happening, because I'll tell you what, there used to be this idea that, well, maybe somebody will, we look for perfection sometimes. We say, there was a while there, like 5 years ago, if somebody sort of got some information incorrect, everybody would be all over them. But now it's like, okay, how, a guy's 90% right on something, like how you can't dispute it. Like everybody's talking the same language, and that's beautiful. I mean, it doesn't matter if somebody is,
right. Because the bad guys, the oligarchs, launched this war on all of us, on humanity, basically, not just in America, but on all humans on Earth. They launched this war in 2020, and the battle space is the internet. So the internet is doing what it does best, which is open up opportunities at an affordable cost to every single human on the planet to talk to one another. In other words, to communicate. And so the other side, the bad guys, the oligarchs, the platform, the Elon Musks of this world, the Bill Gateses of this world, these computer nerds, they think they're going to be able to use the billions that they made off of us while the internet was being spun up, and they concentrated power into these platforms, mostly in America. And it's fallen apart. Their whole narrative is falling apart. I mean, Musk's thing about going to Mars, that's the most insane, stupid, crazy BS that everyone, and science is showing that that's the case. I mean, I'm glad for his rockets and his, what's that thing that fixes our internet so that everybody can get on the internet, whatever that thing's called, with satellites. Yeah. You can get on the internet anywhere in Maine using his satellite system, and that's all good. Satellites are good, rockets are okay, but going to Mars, come on, who cares? Right now, especially because young people are looking at not being able to buy a house. They're never going to have Social Security. The retirement is completely washed up for them. They're never going to retire. They're going to work their whole lives, and they know that. And
right.
And Trump keeps doubling and tripling down, saying how he's fixing the economy and making everything cheaper. And
he was just on TV the other day talking about, or whatever the news talking about. You got to go to Walmart. Oh man, you got to bless them. I mean, that guy does this repetitive, hypnotic stuff that appeals to people that listen to Nickelback and Nirvana.
Yeah,
and it's like and he does this dance with words that, how can you believe him for 5 seconds? It's
right.
It's this
right
that
but at the same time,
convincing people Walmart's going to take care of it for us. And we know, like, I think one of his, isn't like what's her name, the one of the heirs to Walmart on his was on his original transition team or something like that.
Probably, yeah. One thing about Trump is if something's gold, or if someone is rich, then they're going to be close to Trump. But also if they're gay, some very important for Donald Trump.
And you got it, and also and that's why Trump loves Turning Point USA, because they've got homosexual speakers on their thing. I mean, I believe that the goal of the Republican Party has always been to hijack anything that's grassroots and just turn it into some sort of weird abomination. And it's like Turning Point USA was supposed. It's supposed to be this great Americanist organization, and we're going to save America. But really, its whole job was to bring people in, turn them into Zionists, and get them to accept a compromised version of Christianity. That's
right,
all it is. It's nothing.
But none of it worked. None of it worked. And this whole
because people
right. But so at about the same time that Charlie Kirk got his start with Jewish money, Nick Fuentes got his start in his parents' basement through video gaming and live streaming at the same time about 10 years ago. So about 10 years ago, Kirk has taken in the big millions from the Jews, and Fuentes is thinking out loud in his Roman Catholic parents' basement while he's doing first-person shooter video games, and he's just giving his raw, unfiltered opinion about everything, including Israel, the Jews, politics. He's just giving it out. He's going down the rabbit hole on Hitler. He's going down the rabbit hole on Stalin, and he's just giving his opinion. For God's sakes, the kid is only 26 years old, or what? I think he's about 25, 26 years old. When he started doing this, he was like 15 or 16 years old. And now, of course, Carlson has platformed Fuentes, and everybody's talking about this Fuentes kid. And you know what Fuentes' narrative has been since a couple of years ago? It's like, if you ignore us young men who play video games in our basements and have learned how to make war based on video games, Mr. Trump and Mr. Republican and Mr. MAGA, if you ignore us, then you are going to lose. And and you know what he's saying since what happened on Tuesday? He's saying, You know why you lost? You know why you lost? It's because of us. It's because the young guys who play video games are your enemy now because you're being so retarded, Donald Trump. He still likes to support Trump. He still defends MAGA. He defends America. He's a patriot. But he's leading his, what he calls groypers, to make war, political war, on MAGA and on Trump in order to wake them up.
Yeah.
Wake us up. Wake the boomers up. Good for Nick.
It's awesome. Yeah, it is awesome. I mean, there's no escaping, this. You're right. I totally agree with you. There's no escaping what the internet is doing for open discussion. And despite how much they're using AI to, foster, I don't know if you're watching that stuff that's going on about, they're using AI just to, they can't do regular interviews anymore with people that are aggravated, because if they did, they would discover that everybody's upset. Everybody knows they're broke. We spent the summer, Richard Levi and I, Richard Ward, we spent, I got to turn off my notifications somehow. I don't know how to do that. Anyway, so we spent the summer talking to the kids up at the college, and we were handing out Jared Golden's scorecard, who now we know withdrew from the election, but the purpose wasn't.
Yahoo! It's all because of you and your flyers. You forced that guy out. You chopped his head off.
Over 2,000, and when you first of all, it was Michael. We hand out these scorecards, and it was over the last 3 years. I probably have handed out over 5,000 scorecards on Jared Golden, and every year his numbers get lower and lower because the language has to be this. They don't give a crap about you. You have to say that. If we forget about all the technical stuff, if the administrative state is spending is supporting itself to the tune of billions of dollars every year, and they're telling you that they're going to fix the budget, no, you're not fixing the budget. Get rid of the administrative government. That is entrenched. Right. That's costing us so much money. We don't need them.
That's especially true in Maine, for goodness sakes. Our government could probably be reduced to about 10% of its size, and we'd all be better off.
Yeah. How much government do you need? You go down to cities like Kittery. I mean, the town of 10,000 people has over 35 committees maintaining and controlling, it's like,
Are you serious? Are you serious?
like 35 committees. It's like, I mean, I don't know how much it is now, but I know it's the last time I checked. And you say to yourself, what is wrong with people? What did we do? Like, we just exploded before, like we had all these committees. And this is what Robert Welch talked about in the Blue Book. He says that collectivism, and this hyper planning, the more you see it in the society, and he's not the only one that said it. Jacques Bourgeois says it. Many writers, and in Dawn to Decadence. And so, if you have people that believe that that all this hyper planning is a sign of progress and success, that's actually a sign that the civilization is about to collapse. The size of the bureaucracy, there's more unelected officials in the state of Arizona than there were in the entire Roman Republic. Imagine that. We have, and these people are, and so that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. Is that you are governed by unelected people all throughout the country, and you need to stop. You need to stop your relationship with these unaccountable agencies. You need to get rid of your town managers. You need to end your relationship with the municipal associations. You need to rewrite your town's charters. You need to get out of the planning agencies and the local development districts, which are slated to replace your counties. Okay.
Yep.
If you look at the Northern Border Regional Commission, which has created like MIGCOG and all these LDDs, you can go onto the Northern Border Regional Commission's website. You could see it. Susan Collins was part and parcel of getting that passed and getting it funded, and she's renewed the funding over the years. And people are already coming to me in different towns throughout Maine saying that they're coming and trying to take over the jobs that used to be part of the county government. So, for instance, in Massachusetts no longer has a county government that's accountable to the people. It's a placeholder, but they got rid of their county governments in between 2019 and 2020. Rhode Island got rid of their counties in 1847. So this progressive movement's been going on at least since before the Civil War, but in full strength probably around 1887. Anyway, what does that mean? Well, you have elected sheriffs in Massachusetts, but they are state employees. They don't work for you. They're not constitutional sheriffs. They're not accountable to you. They're not accountable to anybody. They're accountable to the governor, and that's so as our country is being centralized, so are the states.
Yep.
That's the things that Americans have to realize. How many unelected bureaucrats are in your state right now?
Speaking of Satanists at the local level, I'm just reading a tweet from Corn Pop, Nick Blanchard. I'm just going to read it for you, and I'd love to get your reaction, Matt Rhodes. Folks, I just got the bad news, tough news from Augusta, Maine. The radical Democrats the communists just hijacked your school board in Tuesday's election. 3 seats flipped or locked in by the left. One was a total conservative seat gone. So I got to assume that, can't remember his name, but he was outspoken and very good. So it looks like they unseated him. They got his head on a silver platter. They being the communists, the forces that hate your daughters and want them to be in the locker rooms at the Augusta high schools with boys, who are undressing with them. So now the board is stacked against us, Nick says. Title IX, forget about it. They're shoving boys into girls' locker rooms, crushing our daughters' sports dreams. Unfair, dangerous, and 100% wrong. The fight just got 10 times harder. Believe me, these people hate fairness. They hate our girls. But I'm not quitting. No way. I'm doubling down, tripling down. We're rallying parents, packing every meeting, suing if we have to. We're taking Augusta back, street by street, vote by vote. Augusta moms and dads, stand up. And he goes on and on and on. So one thing I'll say about Nick Blanchard is he is a fighter. What say you, Matt Rhodes?
Well, I think I've never always, I haven't always agreed with his tactics, but I have to tell you, I've always supported him. And I'll tell you why.
Yep.
Like when he started out, and some of the things, during COVID, the first lockdowns, my belief has always been that if Nick Blanchard, people just followed him, right from the beginning, he was basically saying, we need to go into these stores, go to Walmart, say, hey, you're not going to stop us from shopping here. But what did the right do? So I believe that right from the beginning, if everybody had followed him on this one issue, the lockdowns would have never happened. They would have stopped it right in its tracks. But people are too cowards to have a revolution. So in that way, Nick Blanchard was 100% right. He said that's when you make your stand right in the beginning. You don't wait 3 months down the road till you get your group formed. You say, this is unacceptable. We're not going to deal with it. And that is actually the nature of nullification. That's the nature of what everybody should be doing. They're accepting the funds, so he's absolutely right. And is he always, his tactics always best? So sometimes he needs to scale back on some of the things he does. Absolutely. But no, Nick probably doesn't have a PR coach, which is everybody needs a good PR coach once in a while. So I would say, Nick, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. I would say you don't have to fight every battle. Every battle doesn't have to. You don't have to go to war with every issue, but you better raising just like Tim Botter's doing. You have to raise the awareness of people and get them to stand up for the stuff, but they're not. They're just compromising, and there can be no compromise with people that want to take over your life. So in that way, you're absolutely right.
Right. So this election was about 40% of the voters. Next year's election is a midterm. We're probably going to be looking at more like 60 or 70% of registered voters turning out next year in 2026 in Maine. So the dynamics are going to be a little bit different. So in this election, it's obvious that the communists were more successful with their fundraising. But one thing about Maine is the communists and the leftists and the progressives are always more successful with their fundraising than traditionalists, conservatives in Maine. And they own the institutions. The progressives own the institutions. So they control the rhetoric, they control the psyops, they control more of the psyops, more of the rhetoric, more of the narrative than does the right here in Maine when it comes to optics, which is kind of the point you're making about Nick. If you're always up against forces that are 10 or 20 or 30 times richer than you are, it becomes critically important to pay close attention to your optics, because they're going to take every little hiccup and they're going to spend $1 million on it and they're going to destroy you. So you've got to be really, really sophisticated and careful politically. So
I think in every way, every American should be as upset as Nick. I mean, I am, but I'm way too old. If I get upset with Nick Blanchard every day, I'll have a heart attack. But let me give you some numbers from the 6th Ward in Nashua, New Hampshire. So there were 1,360 registered Republican voters in Ward 6. This friend of mine tells me he got 467 of those. However, there are a total of 5,294 registered voters, all parties in Ward 6. Only 984 showed up. So what does that tell you? Hold on a second. So one second. I gotta fix something here.
So we're talking to Matt Rhodes. He is the leader of the John Birch Society. He's back. You need to get a better computer. How old is that computer, by the way?
This one I just got it's only not even a year old. The problem is that my router is really weak, Mike. Don't worry, I'm taking care of that this week.
All right, sounds good.
And my service is really weak, so I have the lowest grade service. I'm going to spend the extra $100, and you'll see. I am going from my laptop, which is actually over here, to this monitor, which is what I'm looking through. But that shouldn't be messing up the signal too much. But I keep forgetting to work on that. You'll just have to send me like I said, just come to my house and throw rocks at it till I remember. Okay, that'll help. All
right. We'll do. Sorry to interrupt your thoughts. Go ahead.
Well, I was trying to fix the heater up here because it's freezing up here, as you can tell. I'm like, ugh. So anyway, so that tells. So this is what I'm trying to say. Like anybody that's as old as I am has known that every time you have a Republican in the White House, you have Democrats running the cities, always, like, and even more so. But each year it's getting worse and worse because the Republicans are, you can't help but say that Donald Trump doesn't do well to make people feel warm and fuzzy. Okay, let's just say that. And sometimes when you have a guy like that, like Trump, you question whether or not that's a controlled demolition. And it's hard not to see that at some point this guy could probably be a little bit friendlier in terms of his tactics, but he has the left up in arms all the time. Every time he acts, every time he talks, it's an attack. But here's the thing: when you have a guy like Trump, and let me tell you this, go back to like President Reagan. When Reagan was president, the freedom movement practically died. The John Birch Society lost thousands and thousands of members, and Robert Welch died in like 85. And so there was this massive, like, Reagan made Republicans and conservatives believe that America is fine now. He literally did that. And so I was just trying to look at what you had. But so this happens all the time when you have a strong personality that's a red in. But if you look at like Bush, the Bush Jr., not so much because he was friendlier to the Democrats. So this is really I'm not surprised that this happened, but the numbers don't make sense. So I'll give you an example. Like in Bangor, over like 17,000 people showed up for local elections. That's insane. That never happens in a local. That doesn't even happen in a presidential election. So we know that there's definitely some fudging going on there. That's so but for my friend's district in Nashua, New Hampshire, well, you could definitely say that was voter apathy, and you have a lot of that when you have a strong president in place.
So you just said that Bangor, 17,000 people turned out to vote in Bangor?
That's correct.
Wow.
That's the number that I got. I didn't read it myself. That was the number that I was given. I was having a conversation with somebody. Sorry.
And they voted in a murderer.
A murderer.
She murdered a Canadian tourist by stuffing sand down his throat. And she spent 10 years in jail, and they elected her?
Yep.
So 17,000 Bangor people. My goodness, Bangor is really a mess. Must be. I don't know much about Bangor, but wow.
Bangor, we had Richard Ward running, and he has been inflammatory at times, like Blanchard, to promote this idea of free speech, and sometimes again on the right we go overboard, and we don't. Some of our people don't see, they're not looking at this from 10,000 feet. And what I'm going to say to your viewers is that you have to listen. Even myself, every time you talk, somebody's watching. Somebody's going to, the right is not that way. We don't generally go around, circumnavigating everybody's head to see what they're about to say or their activity. But the left does do that. Anything you say that might be a little bit out of line is going to be used against you. So, but the other thing too, Mike, and
they've always done this to me. They're going to take it out of context, and they're going to spend $1 million on a TV ad. Is what they're going to do. And you can't anyway. So wow, Bangor, 17,000 people believed the lies. They believed all the liars. Amazing.
Right.
Maine people. You Maine people are going to get what you deserve if you keep this up. If this continues into next year, then we are going to get the communism that you voted for, that you put up with. We're going to get it. And I'm going to be in jail. I will be in jail. They're going to be coming for me because I ain't erasing my past. I'm not erasing the truth. I'm never going to stop talking about how evil is, how evil sin is, just because the government is communist. I'm never going to stop. They're going to have to either kill me or put me in prison. So it looks like, I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen next year? I mean, I'm surprised. I'm surprised by the fact that you just shared 17,000 people voted in Bangor, and we got that murderer on the city council. I'm like,
well, and the odds of that many people showing up is just like ridiculous for a local election.
So what are you saying? So what are you saying? Are you saying that the numbers are fudged or fake?
I think the numbers are fudged. I mean, either that many people showed up or the numbers are fudged. I mean, I don't know what the likelihood.
All right.
I can't.
So listen. So listen. Before we run out of time, I want to play something for you, and I want to get your reaction. This is Steve Bannon. Very recently, okay, very recently. This is Steve Bannon. We all know who he is. So here we go.
I will tell you right now, as God is my witness, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They're getting more and more and more radical. And we have to counter that. And what do we have to counter it with? We have to counter it with more action, more intense action, more urgency. We're burning daylight. If you look across every aspect of this, we have to codify what President Trump has done by executive order, right? We have to codify it. And people say, well, they're just going to be messing bills and pay Senate. We got to put aside these structural barriers and get on with it. President Trump today gave to the Senate when they came over for breakfast. Even Lindsey Graham, some of the guys that liked, and some of these institutions, I understand. This is a very tough decision to make. And you're going to see some people in the conservative movement that not in a million years, because I talked to him today, quite frankly, I had Hawley on the show this morning, Josh Hawley, and he's talking about it. And I'm trying to play the institution. Well, they called me up this afternoon and said, let's go through the 10 reasons we need to do it. And these are heavy hitters on what I would call the constitutional, limited government constitutionalists in our movement. And they're about to come out over the next couple of days and make this argument because it said, look, we have to understand that if we don't take this to the maximum, a maximalist strategy now with a sense of urgency, and in doing this, seize the institutions. If we don't do that now, we're going to lose this chance forever because you're never going to have another Trump, right? You're just not going to have it. And I will tell you right now, as God.
So what say you, Matt Ward?
Matt, I say that.
Matt, I'm sorry, Matt Rhodes. Sorry, Matt Rhodes.
I don't care. It's fine. Whatever. I think he was right about one thing. I don't think the president codified anything or codified anything, but Trump has made, by his actions, so many opportunities available to the freedom movement to begin dismantling the marble cake factory that we live in. We're going to talk about that tonight. And, defunding programs has been a great opportunity for Republicans not to make fun of Democrats, but to show them the dangers of depending on federal money. The states can't turn on their lights without the dependence on federal money. And Trump defunding all these programs, you would think this is the disappointing thing. First of all, Bannon is absolutely correct. There's a great opportunity here for us to take advantage of what Trump is doing and say, let's declare our sovereignty over the federal government. But they're not doing that. They're continuing. And if you come to my presentation tonight, you'll learn about exactly the structure of our government as it was put together by the progressives during the 30s, 20s, and 30s, and you'll learn about. So we do have.
Bannon used a really important word a couple of times toward the end, and that is the word institution. He argued that while Trump and MAGA has political power, they have to make some moves in Congress that's going to affect the institutions in such a way that guys like him or me or you don't end up in prison when Obama or Newsom sweeps back into power. If they do, they need to. That's an important point to me that I'm going to be thinking about. Yeah.
I mean, that's a very good point. When you're on top of the presidency, it's hard to see. But I always look at politics. I'm very practical when it comes to politics. I don't know I know some things are bad, some things are good. But the question is that what has gotten us to this point? And that has been the overreach of federal government into the states. If you could show that flyer one more time, Mike, I'd appreciate it. I want people to understand that this isn't just about the con. You as Americans need to know about the structure of your government. It might become, it'll become very obvious to you what you need to do moving forward, and how a great opportunity has been presented to you in your town. You have to decide. Trump is doing the defunding. He hasn't gotten rid of the agencies. They still exist. I don't know how. I'm working on research to find out how to get rid of the Administrative Procedures Act. That would be the first step. The second step would to get it uncodified at the state level. But with this opportunity, we need to show people how broke they are. This is how we worked in Bangor with the voters for Jared Golden. We say, this is our elected official, not your elected official. These are the things that they are doing that are causing you to be broke. And we want you to be aware of it, because we have a moral responsibility to explain to you what's going on. So after tonight, you're going to see the nature and structure of your government as it exists, not as you want it to exist, and you'll have a better plan moving forward. So be here tonight, and you'll see the value of what Bannon has said, and some of the things Trump is saying as well. So, Trump is doing not all 100% good. He's still a technocratic president. He's still supporting the technocratic state, and that's very dangerous. But people are justifying that. I don't. There's a lot of bad things he's doing. However, we always have to use these opportunities. So, there we are. Yep, they are going to come after us. They're going to come after us much, much worse. They're already starting to. They're already started arresting people for stuff on social media. I've watched states like Maryland get succumb to the blue. The last guy that tried to resist giving his guns back in Glen Burnie, Maryland, the police just went in there and shot him. So that's what we're looking at. And Maine Gun Owners, I'm going to say this right now. I love the people at the Maine Gun Owners Association. I think they're well intended, but when they don't know about the fact that there was a Safer Communities Act, put through like 15 years ago, that the entire country is already a red flag state. That's pretty scary to me. So we're going to be working on creating another gun rights group to say this is, because here's the thing. If people don't stand up together en masse, they are going to pick you off one by one. They're going to use statute law, zoning laws to shut down your gun shops. Go look at what they did in Massachusetts. That's the playbook. It's right there. And if the gun owners do not resist together, they're gonna pick everybody off one at a time. So,
well, that brings up question 2. Why do you think that the good guys lost that one? Question 2.
Why because they didn't think it was that important. They just didn't. They cannot fathom a world that they believe that'll take their guns. I don't know if you've been up here in rural Maine. Now, for me, a guy from Jersey, this is a fascinating. This is like being an anthropologist on an African safari. These guys live in total oblivion to the fact that they could be affected by anything that's happening around them. Like I've tried to talk to some of these guys. They don't listen. They're not going to come take our guns. No, you try to. I've had conversations with guys online, and they'll say, yeah, well, they could try to come take my guns. Well, they did. They did in Maryland. They killed people. They kill other people. They took guns from 2 people so far in New Hampshire, because one guy that somebody said he made them feel unsafe. Some woman said they went to his house, they stripped him of everything that he owned, and they've done this with a couple people already in New Hampshire, supposedly the free state, which it's not, but they like to tell themselves that so that they can just feel happy, have happy thoughts, and eat M&Ms. I don't know what they do over there, but all I can tell you is that they're coming for your guns. They already have. And when they get to the point where that there's not enough of you to stand up, they're going to start killing you, because that's what they do. There's not enough people to resist. They'll walk into your house like that guy in Glen Burnie, Maryland, and they'll kill you. There'll be no one left to protect you. So get out of your house, get your head out of your butt. They're coming for your guns, and they're going to do it with the appraisal of all the immigrants that they're bringing in to replace your home, to replace your towns. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen in Maine. So Maine needs to wake up. I don't know. All this rhetoric that's going around, and all these groups, they do nothing. You know, you got to agree to stand together, or you're not going to stand at all. That's all there is to it. So Bannon's right on that. We need to get serious. I mean, in Nashua, New Hampshire, thousands of people, I mean, all 1,900 people in that ward should have showed up and voted, or, 5,000 people, they should have all showed up. Every Republican should have voted for Chris Thibodeau, and they didn't. So what does that tell you? Okay. It's voter apathy, Mike. I mean, that's what Bannon was talking about. It's voter apathy. It's voter apathy. You have Trump in the White House. The guys with the guns are sitting there going, hey, everything's going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. Nobody thinks local elections. Are you kidding me? Local activity of your government is what gives the globalist power. Your permissions to have them in your town. They're unelected officials. They're, like Ickley, who gets their marching orders from the United Nations. To think that these organizations do not have the intent of taking over your town and putting it under world dominance is just foolishness. And the fact that the Republicans never talk about it shows you how they do not represent a positive force against the globalists. The globalists are in your town. And I've shown them this. I've shown them.
They sure are. They sure are.
The numbers, Michael. If on another program I could show you the numbers, and I've shown this to Republicans. Tell me how you're ever going to win a positive election for Maine. You can't, because you gave up your birthright. So
that's anyway. Right. No, you're absolutely right. So tonight, if you want more, you should want more. Truth About a Con tonight with Matthew Rhodes. Matt, thank you so much for taking time to be with me today on MSH Live. And I will be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. And Matt will be with me next week at 10 a.m. Are we going to do 10 a.m. again? Or
10 a.m. Yeah, it's better. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
Huh?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's awesome. So thank you very much for tuning in. And let's close with the Lord's Prayer, praying together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God bless all of you today. Hang on, Matt, until